Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. I got some questions for you. Lots and lots of questions, maybe. I don't know. But my first two questions are, what opens with an Animal House type montage of images at the Margaret Wells, Madam Wells House of Pleasure with goats. I think they're goats, but it's literally animals, not just the human kind, laid out, walking around, moving through. The aftermath of last episode's orgy, and what closes with Miss Charlotte leaving her keeper, can't go home to Mama Margaret Wells. Where will she go? If you guess Harlots season 1 episode 6, then you're correct. And I'm going to be reviewing, recapping. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And thank you for being here. All right, look, y'all, I'm trying to get my notes from yesterday out the way, coming back from my walk, trying to multitask. Because, yesterday had been Black Watch Wednesday. So Underground is on, Shots Fired is on, Greenleaf is on. I don't review Empire, so I don't even have time to watch Empire. It's some other, Blackish is on. It's so many shows that come on Wednesday. I'm probably missing something, but it's like trying to catch up. Survivor I watch. I'll be watching the black folks on Survivor. But anyway, and the women. Well, I guess the black folks mostly, because we got 2 black women on Survivor. Did you know? So anyway, it's a lot to do. So we trying to. Look, I walk through my neighborhood looking wild and crazy. You know why? Because I am wild and crazy. Harlots, baby, harlots. Okay, so we see the leftovers of the party that they had at Madam Wells' boarding house, brothel, house of pleasure. And it's the next day. Margaret is counting the money, and Mr. North, that's the black guy, he's waking up, and they say, "We did it, baby, we did it." They done made the rent for this month. I don't know if they made it for next month, but things are looking up. They got the clientele. We feeling good. We excited. Okay, then we see Miss Charlotte with her keeper. What's his name? I don't know, but I don't know. And her exchanging looks with Haxby. Is that his name? His helper? The help, Haxby, who she had sex with at the end of last episode or the episode before. And then we see Miss Quigley. Her name is Quigley. I've been calling her Quicks, but I think it's Quigley. This Quigley Haxby thing, I don't know. They crossed in my head somehow. We see the people at the boarding house, Quigley's house of pleasure, Madam Quigley's brothel, having breakfast. Margaret Wells and North come. They want to make a truce. They want to pay for Mary Louise. They want to pay off her debt. Pay for, you see this ownership thing going on here, this theme. So they having breakfast at her house, at Quicks's house, when Margaret Wells and Mr. North come. And she mentions that, I see they have, it's not a pleasant or a relaxed interaction. But Miss Margaret, Mama Wells, does mention, I see you still keep your girls locked in. This ain't no voluntary slavery over there. She says something about kidnapping. This really upsets Miss Quigley. And as Mama Margaret Wells and Mr. North are leaving, Emily comes running down the stairs and she's yelling, "Mrs. Wells! Mrs. Wells!" Because she won't be rescued. See, she didn't know how good she had it, or what she did have going for her, until she got someplace else. And I'm not mad at her. I mean, is she supposed to be psychic? How's she supposed to know? I don't think it's anything wrong with somebody wanting to move up and advance themselves and have better and have more. But she's running down the stairs, and Miss Quigley catches her, and she beats her. And she accidentally hits her son, Charles. Okay. And then we see that Lord Fallon, we find out he is interested in the young Miss Lucy. Lucy is baby girl Wells. She's Mama Wells' youngest daughter. We're back at Lucy. We see Lucy go over to Charlotte's keeper's place. That's where Charlotte stays, so it's kind of like Charlotte's place, but it's not really Charlotte's place. But she goes over there. Haxby lets her in, and I'm confused because I think we had just seen Miss Charlotte leave, so I'm like, what's the plan here? Why are you letting her in? But he lets her in. She goes up to where the keeper is, and the keeper is like, oh, Charlotte has deserted me with his crazy behind. I don't like him. Do you want to keep me company? He's propositioning her, being all lewd and lascivious. And she says, I paid my debt to you. Because she felt like she bought into this story he told her. But she just handling situations the best way that she knows how. She's a young girl, but even, older women, everybody be trying to handle stuff the best way they know how. And he says he wants to, maybe I could keep you and Charlotte. And he says that we would make quite a threesome. And that betting both Wells girls was one of his finest moments, he tells Haxby. And Haxby, I don't really know what Haxby be thinking because, he has that kind of neutral servant's look about him. So that's that scene there. Then we see Sir Christopher. He has two moles. That's the guy, I'm going to call him Two Moles because I don't know if I remember his name. But Charlotte is walking in the park. He sees Charlotte. And she's turning heads as she's walking through the park, and she says that she needed air. And he says, a good ride is a good thing. A ride he always finds will stave off the effects of a night of drinking. And she says, well, Sir Christopher, are we talking about horses? She's so cheeky and flirty. So that's the end of that moment, but we'll come back to that. Then we see Miss Scamwell. Her name is Scanwell, but I think I'm gonna stick with Scamwell because she's been scamming pretty well here recently. She's being nursed by her daughter Amelia, and Amelia is saying, we should leave, you're sick, we are being corrupted. That's what the daughter says. And the mother says, we must stay. It's God's will. It's God's will. I'm scamming well enough over here and I'm trying to keep my secret. And she said, you have to be strong enough for both of us. Go amongst the harlots. Tell them the stench of their besmirchment will be with them their whole lives. Because she knows from experience, but her daughter doesn't know that she knows from experience. And then we see breakfast at the Wells brothel. It's not as grand as breakfast at the Quicks brothel. That's not her name, but we're gonna go with that because I think I'm gonna remember that better. Okay, but the good thing about breakfast over here is that everybody gets a guinea. You get a guinea, you get a guinea, you get a guinea, and you keep up that good work. This is a taste of things to come. If we all work hard, you're gonna get guineas. I don't even know what a guinea is, but the French girl, she know what a guinea is, and she want her guinea too. The French girl who defected, trader number 2, she defected from Quicks's brothel. She like, where's my guinea at? And Mama Margaret Wells says, you don't get one, Mary Louise, because I just went and paid your debt. So I done gave all your guineas for a while to Miss Quicks, Madam Quicks over there. We find out that Lord Fallon is the finest gentleman. He makes $20,000 a year. And he wants to meet you this afternoon. Mr. Abington, is that who? He's here. He's a client of the brothel. He's at the Wells brothel, and he looking for an early riser. He ain't get enough last night. He stayed up probably all night thinking about it. And Miss Harriet, who's the fake wifey, the newly freed fake wife, the black woman who became a harlot officially on the last episode. Mr. North asked her if she's up to Mr. Abington. I couldn't quite make out his name. But anyway, this early morning client. And Harriet says that she is up to it. And she's looking kind of weird. I didn't really understand why, but a little later I did. And then we see Madam Quick. She's getting into a carriage. And then we see the Miss Emily, the first trader. And the girl is beat up. We can see it on her face. We don't know what happened to the rest of the body, but her face has been beat up. Fanny is, so the French girl asked Fanny, that's the heavier prostitute, the heavier harlot in the Wells brothel, if she's pregnant, and she says no. And the French girl is kind of like, huh? But it turns out apparently that Miss Fanny is not just fat, she's pregnant. Okay, so I had no idea. She says, don't tell anybody. Frenchie caught it. We see Charles and Trader Emily. Trader Emily is she's upset because she got beat and she's disturbed. And Charles, I don't see a scar or bruise on him, but he's upset because he got beat too. Just imagine if she did this to her own son. And so they end up drinking and having some drugs, it turns out. I didn't quite catch that the first time, but later on, and when we loop back, I'm like, and Charles talks about putting his mom, Madam Quicks, in the cellar, and that we'll be the king and the queen of this castle. He has such high aspirations, Mr. Charles does. And then we see we see an empty room. Madam Quicks has gone to this room. It's empty. I didn't really understand. And she rubbed something off the wall and it's blood. I understood later on. This has to do with the virgin stillers. What were we calling them in the comments? It was a cute thing, whatever it was. I can't remember. Madam Quicks comes back to her brothel, and she's like, where's Charles? Sleep. He's been with that traitor Emily. No. So Emily and Charles, they done drank and had they drugs and they laid out a little bit, or maybe Miss Emily didn't have as many drugs, because she says, Quickie, he's snoring, he's sleeping. Is he asleep? Homegirl, Miss Emily, gets the keys. She kisses Quiggy. He got a nickname, Quiggy. And she attempts to escape, and her attempt to escape is effective. We see her running down the street. Give us free! She gone. She out of there. She wants more. So in Madam Wells, so we see the black woman who was the fake wifey, who was the newly freed, enslaved. Oh, Fanny is her name. Fanny, is that her name? Fanny, the fake wifey, formerly enslaved. But anyway, the one who, you know who I'm talking about. She says, you paid Frenchie's debt. That's what she's telling Madam Mama Wells. You paid Frenchie's debt. I want you to pay Benjamin for my children. I'll work for you for the rest of my life if needs be. And then she gives Madam Mama Wells 2 guineas, and she says that the man tipped her these 2 guineas, and she's given them to Madam Margaret Wells to show that she's valuable to her. You know, that she's able to, you giving out guineas, everybody happy about it. I just got 2 on my own. I'm valuable to you. From Lord Babington. So she says he tipped her on top of what you charged. I'm valuable to you. All right, we got all of that. Okay, keeping it moving. We see the 2 mole guy again. Still, he says that he tells Charlotte that she's a forward, flaunting hussy, and he wants her to be his. And she says, should we retire and discuss terms? Because y'all, she's looking for a keeper. She's finished with the guy that she's with, and she's trying to find some other option because she is not happy. And I'm not happy for her, and I'm happy that she's trying to find some other options. And he says, no, this is perfect. He want to have sex with her out in the wild. And she like, you got me mixed up, sir. You got me effed up. I am not that type of girl. I'm not a quickie, but I'm gonna give you the best time of your life. You'll want me morning, noon, and evening, or whatever. She like, I'm not a quick minute kind of woman. I'm a forever. I'm a keeper. And he's like, 2 more guys like, you want me as your keeper? My wife would chop off my penis. I only do the occasional dalliance. So It's hard to find a keeper out here. Somebody might want to, that's like these basketball wives or whoever trying to get these men to marry them. They may want to screw them. They may want to have sex with them, but they ain't trying to keep them. They not trying to, keep them like Evelyn from Basketball Wives. She's been kept. She's a keeper. But, being elevated to wifey is a little bit challenging. And she did get elevated to wifey, but, that situation was a little bit shaky. But anyway, we can relate it to women and people everywhere, even little poodle puppy dog. Okay. So we hear some door banging. Miss Emily, having escaped from Madam Quicks's place, is at the Wells brothel. North opens the door, and he says, or someone says, "You made your choice, Emily." But it wasn't an informed choice. I mean, it's not like, I don't know, how could she do research to figure out what was the best fit for her? They give her some money, but they tell her she can't stay. She got it. You got to get out of here. And then she tells Madam Mama Wells tells the women who work for her or work with her or whatever, "We will protect you while you were under my roof, but we will not be played for a fool." And then basically Emily, before she left, she said, "I curse all of you," or something to that effect. She mad. So the S&M lady from where Mama Madam Margaret's brothel used to be, there was an S&M lady next door, and she sees Emily on the street, and she tries to be nice to her, but Emily is so dismissive, and she says that she'll find a better. She said, "I've been at Madam Quicks's place. I'm not going backwards. I'm going forwards. I'm going to find an even better place than Quigley's." Okay. So then we see Charlotte. She tells this couple that she's on the prowl for rich men. She's come to the home of the couple that thought they were getting Lucy's virginity. And they have a new young girl there, and they also have a new nephew. Now I think this nephew is Charlotte's Irish friend, the guy that's kind of been the bane of her wannabe keeper's existence, because he's so jealous, but everybody is the bane of his existence because he's so jealous and insecure and nasty, and he's such a piece of boo-boo. He probably don't nobody want to be with his behind unless they tied up and forced to be with his behind. Work on yourself. Work on developing your character, sir, and somebody might want to be with you for you. You hear me? Okay. So what Charlotte is trying to do is trying to negotiate for them to keep her or for them to find somebody, help her. She's trying to get help. She's trying to explore her options. Miss Charlotte is trying to find a way out from where she's been because she don't like it. That's why she ain't signed them papers. And they say, "You'll find a keeper." That's what the lady says. You're Charlotte Wells. You're too old for me and my husband, but you are Charlotte Wells. Yes, girl. Yes. Okay. Remember that. You're so fabulous, baby. So we're at the brothel, at the Wells brothel, probably because Benjamin is there. And Madam Mama Wells is talking to him about the children, the two children of the fake wife turned harlot, Fanny. Is it Fanny? You know who I'm talking about. The fake wife, newly freed turned harlot, she's trying to get the children. And Benjamin is like, "Look, I came here for sex, not to talk about my two young slaves. Plus, you can't pay me the debt you already owe me." And Madam Wells says, "My fortunes have changed. I'm going to start making payments to you next week. Next week, we're going to start paying. And we want to put these children on this debt. We want them too, because the children belong with their mother." And somewhere during this thing, the newly free fake wife Fanny comes into the room, and he says, Benjamin, the little young a-hole who's the brother of these children, says, "Well, the price of my two young slaves has gone up. They are now 100 pounds. What was the other currency we talked about? Guineas. Y'all, I don't know what it means, but apparently 100 pounds is very expensive because the newly free fake wife says, "They're your brother and sister." And he says, "Who cares? They're my slaves. Next time, breed with your own." Now, again, homegirl being a black woman in America today, but especially then, she was trying to do the best she could. You know, that's like on Underground. People act like, you know, these women who are these mistresses, like, what's the child who was with the president that they say was his mistress, who was 10, 12, 14 when he got with her, and she was enslaved. It's not a consensual relationship. So the power dynamics are such that she can't choose who she breed with. But anyway, North ends up putting him out because the woman who he was coming to have sex with, when he was saying that he would, you know, he was being so nasty about the woman's children, she was like, I'm not having sex with you. I'd sooner have sex with a dog than you, or something to that effect, she said. So anyway, North puts him out. So we see Madam Quicks in the park. She's walking, and she sees Justin Cunliffe. He sees her. He's with two people. He comes over to Quicks, and Madam Quicks is like, where's the girl? The room that she went to that was empty earlier, she was looking for the virgin. This the second girl she done gave them. Now this child is missing. She go to find the girl. The girl ain't even there. Where's the girl? I found blood on the wall. I want to know who I'm dealing with, who I'm risking getting hung for, or I will not help you anymore. And it's, you know, she like, Fallon is not all that's going on. So you can't just tell me, Fallon. I need to know more. Okay, we got to talk faster. We see Mama and baby girl. Oh, so Mama Margaret Wells and baby girl Lucy are going for their meeting with Lord Fallon, and they run into Charlotte when they arrive at the lunch place, or wherever, the restaurant, or wherever they are. And Mr. Fallon calls her the songbird of the underworld, Lucy. So Charlotte and Madam Margaret are having a little conversation off to the side, and Charlotte is like, look, I got to get away from Charles. Can I come home for a while? And her mama is like, girl, you living in the lap of luxury. You have to set your sights higher. You have to go forward. You can't be coming backwards, be going down, be coming home. I thought I taught you more. And then baby girl, or big girl Charlotte is like, all right, go on back to your favorite. So she knows she can't come home, but she ain't feeling being with this Charles situation. Or Lord Charles. Quicks comes in, Madam Quicks comes to the brothel. Where's Charles? And they say he's been with Emily all day. And she goes upstairs, and Emily is gone. I don't even know if she notices that, but Charles has OD'd. So she ends up calling in the medical people, or doctor and everything. We see Scamwell's daughter, Amelia. This is the next scene, and she's preaching, and she runs into Violet. And Violet asks, why'd you run? I don't know what that means. But anyway, okay. So then the next thing that I have under my notes is that Charlotte is at the gambling hall, and she is actively seeking a keeper. The Irish guy invites her to go to America with him. He says, we can keep ourselves. We can be our own masters. And Charlotte is like not feeling America. She like, nah, I don't want to go to America, but we should be our own masters. We see baby boy Charles is not dead. The doc gives him an antidote to his ODing. Then we see Scamwell's daughter Amelia wallflowering while Violet works. So she kind of sitting around and Violet is working. A man comes up to her. And I think that he is the man who preached for Amelia while Amelia went off with Violet to the party, to the orgy, the last scene, to the masquerade orgy the last time. And the man is saying to Amelia, Scamwell's daughter, I don't know if I should tell you, your harlot, that you work for Quigley, or should I tell your mother that you in the sway of a harlot? And he say, don't worry, I won't tell anything. And then Violet comes over and she like, get out of here. We don't like you. You ain't our friend. Emily shows up in that same brothel situation, and people were like, weren't you once Emily Lacey? Cause she looking rough. She been out on these streets. It's hard out here not being in a house, just being a street hoe. You know, she thought, you know, she was moving up, but she done moved down, and she found out it's hard. And they say, you know, she says, I still fucking am. Meaning she still is Emily Lacey. So she hasn't lost her spark yet, but it's wearing on her. We see Quigley nursing her son with her doctor's help. Then we see the daughter, Amelia Scamwell. She arrives home to her mother crawling on the floor. And her mother is like, you are not safe among the harlots. The harlots will exploit your compassion and corrupt you. And then she reads her daughter a Bible verse about the sweet lips of a strange woman drawing you in. And then we hear the door knock. Violet is at the door, and Amelia and Violet are kissing. Proverbs 5:3 is the verse she reads. And Violet says to her, I don't want your money. That's what she says to Amelia. I want you. And before the knocking at the door, the mom is burning. She's burning with the premonition that her daughter is involved with a woman, and a harlot woman at that, and a black woman. They don't seem to care about that. We've only heard one mention of blackness. Hey, poo-poo. Haxby sees Charlotte packing, and he sees her putting stuff, and he's like, this is not yours. And she like, what, he gonna get this to his wife? He bought this stuff for me, this is mine. Then they're arguing back and forth, and the keeper, the wannabe keeper of Charlotte, comes on, and he hears from their argument, he can tell that Haxby and Charlotte had sex. So he tells Haxby that he's fired, and he says to her, you gave yourself to Haxby, my servant, under my roof? And she says, I'm leaving. And he says, I say when you leave. And he beats her and he rapes her. And he tells her after he rapes her that he's taking her to dinner tonight and she better behave. And then he tells her, I love you, Charlotte. And he kisses her. Classic abusive behavior. And she knew she was trying to get away with him. It wasn't a good situation for her. We see Frenchie cussing a client out in French. The client probably don't know what she's saying. We see the fake wife newly freed woman with the client. We see Franny getting eaten out. We see Lucy with Lord Fallon. He gives her a pomegranate. He says it's a rare and a delicate fruit like you, and he feeds her the pomegranate seeds, and he tells her, now you're mine. And it's kind of like a slightly erotic scene in a way. I couldn't tell if she was turned on by it. She was like, I didn't know if she was excited, but she was freaked out. We'll find out in a moment. But Charlotte is brought to a social event where it's not really the thing to bring mistresses, and everyone is kind of like upset. And then Charlotte, not Charlotte, but Madam Wells has an interaction with Lord Fallon, and he says, your daughter is a goddess. I would take her into my keeping and treat her as such. So he was very happy with her. But we see Miss Lucy says, she comes and she apologizes to her mother. She says, I'm sorry, I'll do better. Her mother is like, what you did well, he wants you. That's the top of the top. He wants you, girl. Woo! Started at the bottom, now we're here. Yes, the whole gang, the whole family, we all moving up because of you. But Lucy is like, he scares me. Please don't make me go with him. I can't do it. I'm struggling. Can I stay here and do something else? So another one of her daughters don't want to be out here in these streets trying to harlot. It's hard out here. And she says, I'm no good at this. And Lord Fallon, but her mother says, Lord Fallon is a good opportunity for you. So you go on out there and you make it work. I wish that her mother would talk to her about what's going on and give her some strategies and some techniques. They need to have like a girls' night at the brothel. All the harlots get together and talk about strategies and techniques and how to handle men and what to do when you're uncomfortable. And, because they probably have a lot of knowledge among them. They need to share the wealth. So we see Quig and her son Charles, he's awakening. Justice Cunliffe comes downstairs and he says he needs another girl, and Madam Quicks is like, it's murder. And he says, the Cunliffe says he must be satisfied. You have to be satisfied with just knowing Lord Fallon. And then Madam Quicks realizes, you don't know who you working for. You just a lackey. And he's like, please. She like, you better beg. And then we see Emily wandering the streets as the Duchess of, she's telling people she's the Duchess of Quig, and she's begging for somebody to have sex with her. She look a hot mess. But at the beginning, we saw this rating of a lot of the different harlots. And she was like at the top. She was like the Duchess of Vajayjay. Quib, I think. But now don't nobody want her. She's not under the protection of a house. She out here is hard out here. we go back to the party where Charlotte's wannabe keeper has brought her to this party, and they're like, well, you know, we hear you're very witty and entertaining, so since you're not supposed to be here, why don't you say something, you know, witty and entertain us? And her wannabe keeper, Charlotte's wannabe keeper, is like, I don't like her wit. And then Charlotte is like, oh, you want to hear from George how to tame a shrew? Sir George tamed me. Do you want to hear how you know, you should tell your friends, you know, your tips on, you know, how to treat women and how to, you know, manage women, our wildness. And she asked him, what you gonna do? You know, if I share my wit with these people, will you punch me again? Will you rape me? And then her wannabe keeper is like, do you see her cruel wit? And the woman is like, let's go to the other room. I see cruelty. I don't see any wit. And then he throws the glass. He's so upset. And then we see Mama Wells combing the daughter's hair, and Persephone, that's what Lord Fallon called Lucy, is looking at the pomegranate like, oh my God, he crazy. He stressed me out. I'm not turned on with the damn. And then we see Emily knocking on the door of the S&M place. Charlotte again has left her keeper. She's in a vehicle. She can't go home to Mama Wells. Where will she go? Y'all, I spent a half hour talking about this show, but that's all I got. I am enjoying Harlots. I will be back next week with another review of Harlots. We got Underground coming up, Greenleaf coming up. I just did Survivor. I don't know what else is going on. And I got the book Handmaid's Tale. I'm gonna read that. I think I'm hoping it's gonna be a quick read, a day or two, and then I'm gonna get into the Handmaid's Tale. So anyway, y'all, be you, be fabulous, have a wonderful, fabulous day, and be fabulous you. Mwah.